Alright guys, what's up? Making a video today to showcase my pretty crazy hybrid Righteous Fire Scorching Ray build that I have on standard. One thing you can immediately tell that my energy shield and life pool is absolutely ridiculous. This build, I'll link the guide for this build in the description. I'd just like to say that this is not my build. I didn't create this, and I'm pretty sure that the link in the description, that author, I don't even think he's the one who originally created it. I'm not going to start pointing fingers as to who originally made this build. I don't know. It's probably been out for quite some time. It just hasn't been really known that well, I guess. Basically, the way this build works is it scales strength. As you can see, my strength is roughly 1200, which is quite high, considering I still have quite a good amount of damage. And basically, the way it works is I scale strength, so pretty much on most of my equipment I have strength, and I get it pretty high to where I can really benefit from things like Shaper's Touch, which grant me increased energy shield per 10 strength, or things like Geoffrey's Sanctuary, which grant maximum energy shield per 5 strength. So things like the items like these is really the main kind of core of this build, and then also using Dune Kubiyari for the increased damage per 8 strength. So with everything combined and just continuing to stack strength, the damage and the survivability of this build is quite insane. And it's, I think, really in my 4 years now of playing this game, this is probably the strongest kind of overall build I've ever played, just because it has a ridiculous amount of tankiness combined with a good amount of damage. Obviously, it's not like a 10 to 15 million damage fucking crazy, you know, tooltip shenanigans like that. It's nothing like that. I think this build has around, if I remember correctly, around like 800,000 DPS if I have the Ellie weakness with my Orb of Storms, Righteous Fire, and Scorching all going at once. I think it's like 750k to 1 mil or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, the point of this build was just to kind of showcase it. I'm going to do some pretty endgame stuff here. I got a Mortal set. I got a Chayula Breach Stone. Keep in mind, I am hybrid. I am not CI, so I do... Chaos does bypass my energy shield, but I just have pretty insane Chaos resistance, and Chaos resistance gets damage over time. It's capped, so I'm pretty tanky even against Chaos damage. And with capped Chaos res and like almost 5,000 life, I'm essentially like practically immune to small amounts of Chaos damage. Obviously, with something as insane as Chayula, I'm still gonna take a good brunt of damage, but it's actually not too bad. So I'm gonna do Mortal set. I'm gonna do Chayula, and I'm just gonna do this core map right here with pretty nasty mods. Nothing too crazy though. So I'll just go through my gear here again. Dune Kubiyari here, nothing too crazy. This one's just one-off perfect, just one-off mana. Just keep in mind, you can't get these kind of numbers in a league. In a league, you'll probably only get up to about 14,000, 15,000 shield at most. And life, you could still reach similar numbers like 4,500. But, whoa, what is this? Oops, sorry, something just popped up. I think maximum effective health you can reach in a league is, without legacy gear, is going to be around 20,000. 20 to 22k, I would say, at most. So again, of course, Shaper's Touch, just scaling the strength primarily, and then you also get 2 mana per strength. And we also do have quite a large life pool, mana pool, because we do use the, where is it here? Radiant Faith. The armor, we don't reserve life, so it doesn't do anything, but we have maximum energy shield equal to 15% of reserved mana. So basically 15% of 3,300 is again added to flat energy shield. So we use stuff like Mind Over Matter here. It got nerfed a little bit, but it's not too bad of a hit. I mean, we lost like 60 flat and like, I don't know, like 20% increased. but it's not too bad. Still definitely worth taking. And then the way the tree works is basically we just scale. We convert a lot of the int nodes to strength with efficient training. These are all like near perfect, so these jewels are very important. And then also getting the Emperor's Mastery and Emperor's Might for that percent scaling for strength and attributes. It's also quite important, as you can see. Well, that's not going to work, but it does provide a lot of the energy shield. Well, all the items do, really. So continue with the items. I have a crazy kind of mirrored hubris here with the horror enchant. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get that in a temporary league. At the time of making this video, it's like, I don't know, like 10 days after Abyss came out, so kind of into 3.1 right now. And as you can see, even with the energy shield nerfs, it actually doesn't affect this build too much, even not with legacy gear. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get 430 with the helmet anymore, but it's still very good, even in temporary league. Joffrey is also pretty cheap, unique, easy to get. For the belt, you could either use a energy shield belt or a heavy belt. I think heavy belt is actually slightly better, so I'm using heavy belt for the added strength. I have just two pretty crazy rings here. Obviously, you can't get the 40% increased max ES anymore. But basically, if you're going to do this build, you want strength, life, flat, energy shield, and if you're on standard, legacy percent increased max ES. And the last two suffixes are basically just going to be resistances. This ring right here is practically perfect. I cannot believe I got this ring for just 20 exalts. Because for this build, this ring basically doesn't get any better than this. Except if it was just an opal ring instead of a prismatic, but yeah. Presence of Chayula, obviously, because we're hybrid, we need a lot of chaos res, and this amulet just is pretty much best in slot for a lot of hybrid builds. Actually, well, almost all of them, and it really helps us get the majority of our chaos resistance. And of course, I have the little cherry on top with the added curse. Actually, pretty much all my gear is pretty min-maxed in terms of the corruption. Of course, you're not going to use a Archon Kite Shield in Legacy, or in not Legacy, in temporary leagues, but I have this mirrored Legacy Archon Kite Shield, which is absolutely ridiculous. I got this from AFAC. I think getting a shield like this costs like around 230 exalts right now, 220, 230. In total, I think my whole entire gear set is roughly like 800 exalts. But which isn't really honestly too much currency on standard. But the thing is, just finding this kind of gear, like finding these kind of rings, finding a chest of this caliber, Geoffrey's, it's legacy with +1 all max res, it's nearly impossible now. But you could get stuff pretty similar, but I would say it's very hard to find something this good. Just using Alberon's Warpath, these are like 5 chaos unique boots. The pretty much only reason we're using these boots is for the percent increased strength. The chaos res is also pretty nice and the movement speed is nice, but the main reason is, again, of course, that percent increased strength. If I take these boots off right now, you may think these boots are kind of garbage, but as you see, if I take them off, I actually lose about roughly 2,000 energy shield. So it's actually quite a big difference. Just with the boots alone, I think getting 200 flat energy shield boots wouldn't give me that much of an increase. So this percent strength scaling goes very far. And then for flasks, I think that's everything. I covered everything on here. Yeah, for flasks, just the Witchfire Brew. I have a legacy 70%. Obviously, you can't get that in temporary. Again, Dying Sun. I have a legacy Rumies. Of course, a lot of this gear, this is very kind of end game, super crazy, best in slot, standard bullshit. But you definitely don't need this caliber of gear for this build to be this good. And then Overflowing Chalice, you may kind of scratch your head at this, but there's not too many other flasks that really fulfill a better role than this flask. This flask actually works out quite well. just helping us keep our flasks full. And then the 40% increased damage applies to everything, so it's quite nice. And then I just have a life flask at the end here. Also might be wondering why I'm using the buff effect of lightning golems, and why it's not like righteous fire damage or something. The problem is with Dune Kubriyari, it's quite slow, as you can see. This is definitely not a fast clearing build, but for things like bosses, it's absolutely insane. So to try to get as much speed as I can out of it, this is actually probably the best enchant I can have for this build, in terms of just clear speed efficiency. With the lightning golem, I actually go from 0.51 to 0.44, so it's quite a big increase because the lightning golem gives flat added attack and cast speed, and it's obviously multiplied by 150%. So this lightning golem gives us roughly 22% increased attack and cast speed, so it actually is significantly faster. And if I didn't have this roomies, I also have a way to increase my attack and cast speed, and that's with my enduring cry, which increases my cast speed just a tad more to 0.41 instead of 0.44. Because I am actually using the Prey of Glory, so I get percent increase, 15% increased attack, cast speed, movement speed. So that helps out a little bit as well for the clear speed, because I know this build is quite slow. If you're on temporary league, you should be using Bastion of Hope though, because this gives you some more added block chance, and it's better than Prayer of Glory. But since I have a practically perfect, well, I do have a perfect legacy roomies, this Bastion of Hope doesn't give me much, because I'm essentially already block capped when I use my flask, so I don't really need Bastion of Hope, so I use Prayer of Glory instead. It's just better for the clear speed. Links are pretty standard: Period of Fire, Empower, and Lighten to get the 20 what is it, 2? Right? 22, I guess, yeah. Or, well, to get 23, level 23, yeah. Vitality, Enlighten, Discipline, Summon Lightning Golem. And here I have Righteous Fire, Ellie Focus, Burning Damage, Conk Effect, nothing special there. Occasionally I do like to switch out Item Quant for the Burning Damage, because just to get a little extra quantity, because the burning damage is not entirely necessary. So sometimes I like to switch that out. Iron Will, Scorching Ray, Burning Damage, Control Destruction, Efficacy, Ellie Focus there, Orb of Storms, Enduring Cry, Increased Crit, Increased Duration. Orb of Storms I use to proc my Ellie Weakness on hit, and also get that Elemental Overload, or Elemental Equilibrium, to get that minus max rest. So it actually serves two functions, so it's quite nice. Then just this everything synergizes in this build like extremely well, so that's why everything has a purpose basically. And then just the shield charge, 4 to 5 faster attacks. Nothing too crazy there. So we'll get started with the Uber set here. Again, this is as pretty much endgame as it gets. But it's quite amazing how trivial content is with this build. And so again, as I mentioned before, the main problem I have with so many builds is that, you know, these crazy 10, 15 mil DPS builds, they just have no survivability, you know? They have like 5k, 6k life, and they just constantly die to doing content like this, you know? And it's just, I just wanted something more consistent that just didn't die all the time, and that I could actually use to like get to level 100 without just constantly dying and being stuck at, you know, one of the high levels. I'm 98 right now. I don't expect to get this guy to 100 just because I'm not gonna run so many maps now. But if you do want to try to make this build on standard, yeah, do keep in mind you're gonna need around anywhere from 500 to 800 exalts to get it to a kind of level that I have it at. So here come the Vaals here. Vaals aren't really too bad. Yeah. Vaals aren't too bad. Chayula is a bit scary, honestly. I actually find Chayula a little more ooh, I'm lagging. A little more scary than even Uber Atziri, so it's kind of funny, but it's true. So obviously, you know, I don't insta-kill him like these crazy Doomfletch builds or anything like that, but at the same time, I don't really die. So as you can see, I'm even getting hit by multiple lasers really doesn't do too much. I'm just resummon my golem here. And even going in bears here, pretty simple. Just getting hit by some chaos damage here, but of course, nothing too significant. And so again, we could try. There was right there a lot of bears in Alluring Abyss. Still not too big of a deal. So eventually, one thing I do want to also get for this new patch is I want to actually upgrade this jewel with that new Watcher's Eye that drops from the Elder, because that jewel is actually also has some really insane properties on it. Caustic Clouds right here too. See, it's doing some damage, but with the max chaos res, it pretty easily mitigated. So I've been working on this build for quite a number of months, just scouring, looking for gear. It took me quite a while to find absolutely everything I needed. So as you can see there, I just tanked a bunch of the rains and other nasty stuff, and I'm just standing in that black crap, and it's just, you know, nothing. And like I said, 15 mil damage builds would not be able to do that. And I'm quite sure those builds don't actually get to 15 million damage. It's just clickbait using using PoE Builder with realistically or unrealistic scenarios. So let's try again these bears here. Woo! That one was close. But still, I tanked like what? Probably like 15 bears there in Alluring Abyss, and I didn't die, so really high tanking potential for this build. You really have to like try to, you know, die to actually die. I mean, you will never it's very, very extremely rare that you will die on accident. I'm still gonna try to avoid some of this stuff here just to, you know, not die, I guess, because I mean it's still definitely possible to die. I mean, this build, I think, can tank like one of the flame blasts, one of the large ones. I mean, it could take the small ones easily, but one of the large ones, it definitely can't do both unless I block them. I think there was one video where a guy actually tanked both of the flame blasts, but it took down like 80,000 of his shield. And obviously, you don't have that much because we're still actually trying to do some damage with this build. So right here, I just tanked a Storm Call, I tanked a Spear, not too bad. So here comes the split phase. Nothing too hard, all I do is pretty much just kind of wait for it to pop the Flame Blast there, then I come here, lay down the Orb of Storms. I'll just avoid these a little bit here. So yeah, that guy, I'm not too sure if I could tank. I could tank one of the blasts, I think, but probably not both. I got a little closer, I think I was ignited. Ooh. I think that was a crit. I don't know why that did so much damage. Wow. But just goes to show that this build just has so much taking abilities that again, it's you have to try to die to actually die. Obviously, if I was, you know, really trying to be careful, I wouldn't be getting myself in those situations. I think I might have Ellie weaknessed myself too with my Orbistorms, because it does reflect the curse. Yeah, nothing too special, just got a Garb. Alright. So let's do this core next. I'm gonna save the worst for last. I think that new Watcher's Eye Jewel can have a property where it regenerates 2.5% of maximum energy shield if you're using Discipline, which is just absolutely outrageous for this build. So I'm really going to try to get one of those jewels and swap it out for that other rare jewel that I had. So that would add another like 500 energy shield recharge per second. That did absolutely nothing. So yeah, with 3.1 this build still works very well, and you can still use the Rise of the Phoenix for the shield. You unfortunately do just have to spec a little more into life regen now just to make sure you're overcapped, but the build still works perfectly in 3.1 as far as I'm aware. And you can still get to pretty crazy numbers in terms of energy shield and life. Like I said previously, you could still get to around 20,000 effective health. So nothing really too crazy here. This is actually quite trivial even for a tier 15. And even things like Corrupting Blood, as you can see I have 18 stacks, doesn't really do too much at all. And again, I know some of you guys are going to be like, well, of course you have an 800 Exalt standard build, but like I said, this is a build showcase, so, you know, not just to keep that in mind, you know. This build can definitely be done on temporary leagues, though. And that's how I actually started with this build. I started on temporary league first, and I just liked it so much that I decided to go all out with it and make a crazy one on standard. So let's just get Malachi here, and then we'll move on to final one. I'm going to do Chayula. I think I might have blocked that slam there. That's what happened. Whew. So again, I'm kind of intentionally sitting in some of his attacks just to kind of demonstrate really the ability this build has to tank. Sorry about the lag there. I don't know. Probably from the recording. So that was a T15 core Malachi. Obviously, it doesn't have the clear speed that these other crazy builds do, but doesn't die, so that's what's nice. Let me just free up some of my inventory here. And we'll move on to Chayula. So this is probably actually one of the harder encounters for this build to do. But with Chaos Rest Cap, it should not be too bad. And I actually even did this with with my increased quantity jewel instead of burning damage, so it can even be done with one less damage jewel. I'll go get all that stuff later. I'll try my best to face tank Chayula. There is a possible chance that I could die, but I'll give it my best shot here. Two Cobalt Jewels, maybe one of them is going to be a Chayula one. That would be cool. The way I found this build was I actually saw it on Reddit. It was on Reddit on the top posts for like a day or two. It said 22k EHP Shaper something. It was like showed a Shaper kill. And I think that's how that's how this build got a little popularity for a short time. And then it kind of faded off again. But yeah. That's how I found out about it. And just been playing it since. I think Righteous Fire is truly one of the strongest skills in the game. Just because it's really the only skill that scales offense with defense. And no other skill really does that in the game. That I know of, at least. I guess Valpact does in a little way. Or not Valpact, Dark Pact. But it's a little more of a risky play. Alright, let's go into Chayula here. Let's see how we do. I'm going to try to dodge a little bit here. Again, keep in mind I am hybrid, so... Oh, that might get me here. It's gonna be close. Oh, there it goes. So at some point you do kind of, you know, he'll start to dwindle me down because of I do have life. And he gets through my energy shield there. But that probably is the hardest encounter out of all of them. And it's, you know, still very easily doable. I'll just face tank him now and finish him off here. There we go. So yeah, hopefully this build, I helped you guys and showed you kind of how this build functions and works, and maybe at least gives you a chance to see the crazy levels that this build can really go to. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.